For some not too happy memories for John Peel in Snapshots.
John Peel is one of radio's most highly respected DJs. His knowledge and outspoken opinions on contemporary music have earned him a loyal audience over 25 years of broadcasting. John was born in Liverpool. His family would take their annual holidays on the island of Anglesey, off the north coast of Wales, where he'd later return at 18 to do his national service. Now, at the age of 53, John is going back to Anglesey to recall some of the most significant memories of his childhood.
Most years of my childhood, right up until I became a teenager, we came here to Rossniger for our summer holidays. Mostly we came to the house here, which in those days was the red house, because by and large it was red. And in fact it was a great deal bigger, oddly enough, than it is now. I come from a nice, comfortable Cheshire middle-class background, and for various sound cultural reasons, they were not, my parents, the sort of people who were very much given to demonstrations of affection. The affection that my brothers and I did get as children came from our nanny, really, the excellent Florence Horn, known to us as Trader Horn, who looked after us up to and after our leaving for boarding school. When I was a kid, I used to come down and play on this beach quite a bit by myself. My dad was away, when I was very young, my dad was away tussling with the Hun in North Africa, so obviously he wasn't here. And when he did come back, he used to spend much of his time at the golf club, understandably, with his cronies. And my mother was out with her mates. And my brother Francis, a nice boy, but he spent much of his early years fast asleep, so I couldn't persuade him to come out and play. My grandfather lived at the other end of the beach in Rossniger. This bungalow, called rather amusingly the bungalow, is the place where my grandfather lived when I was a child. And we came here with my dad and with my mum and various other relatives, but we were always a bit wary here because my granddad didn't like children very much, and he particularly didn't like us, we always got the impression. So when we did come here, we tried to sneak off into the kitchen where his excellent cook would look after us and make us even fatter little boys than we were already. I almost expect my granddad to come out here and tell us all to get off his grass and be damn quick about it. Well, my granddad, who was a fairly grumpy old fella, he'd come out here in his flat hat and his bedroom slippers, and there's a stream down here, and it was his obsession to keep the stream clear. Well, I think my granddad would be quite pleased with the general standard of the stream now and its cleanliness. It seems to be flowing pretty well, and rather less overgrown than it was in his day. So he'd give the thumbs up to the stream and whoever it is who's responsible for cleaning it. Our holidays were amongst the few opportunities that I ever had to spend time with my father at all, and he was always a rather sort of distant and authoritarian figure, or so it seemed to me. One of the things that my father and I and my brother Francis always managed to do was to go to the island church to look for cowries. What were the Martians making of this? Why is that fat man sitting on the beach? Ah! Great sense of relief at finding that, I want you to know. Oh, and another one just lying there waiting to be... Very good. And another! Amazing. Highly symbolic act. Right. This jar has considerable significance in my life because apart from the dozen cowries that I've just added to it, all of these were collected here at the Island Church by my father during our expeditions together. And so when he died, it became quite important to me to try and get my hands on this, as I say, to represent it in his own individual effort, so a bit of a treasure. And of course, this is always the case, you know, when you have sort of little sentimental, familiar objects like this, it makes you wish, or it made me wish anyway, that I'd actually known him rather better than I did. But Life tends to be, I'm afraid, something of a crisis of non-communication, and there's no exception. The outings that I had here with my dad were particularly important because he'd been away at the war throughout my early childhood. My very first memory of seeing him was on Anglesey. Well, of course, this place is barely recognisable. It's been changed a great deal, and we only spent, I think, one summer here. But it's important because my brother Francis and I were playing in this area, and we heard a motorbike coming by. We ran to the gate and stood there just to watch it go past. And instead of going past, it turned in and it drove round. There was a lawn here, I seem to remember, and we ran across the lawn to the house. And from the window overlooking the driveway there, my mother looked out, saw the motorbike, and we'd said something like, "Mummy, Mummy, who's that funny-looking man at the door?" And she looked out and said, "It's your father," and started to cry. And I get upset myself now telling you the story. And we ran down, and there he was. I was 5 or 6 years old at the time, and that was the first time that I was consciously aware of having seen him. Being a parent myself now, and looking back on my father's life, I often think that he was probably rather an unhappy and lonely man, and I wish again that I'd been conscious of this at the time. One of the great mistakes that parents make, and I've tried to avoid making this mistake myself, is to say to their children that I wish you were more like so-and-so. I thought to myself, I don't want to be like these people, and more than that, I'm not going to be like these people. And I think that one of the reasons that I got involved in and was so keen on rock and roll or popular music, whatever, was that it was something that was kind of wholly mine, and something over which my parents and other authorities had no control at all. So it was very valuable to me for that reason. Very crucial moment in my life occurred here, because as a public school boy, you have to get back a bit because I need to demonstrate military technique to you here. As a public school boy, I was expected to get a commission, right? Because all public school boys got commissions. So one day I was instructed to march the squad at the end of guard duty, march them off the ground, right? And this was very important, significant, because you were assessed on these things as to whether you were sent forward for officer training. So imagine I'm the squad, right, and you're the officer, right? So I was standing like this, attention. And then we had to march, right? Now, in those days, there was a flower bed here, and I was too nervous to stop them, so I just marched them right over the flower bed, like that. And my commanding officer said at that moment, he said, that was the moment we decided not to send you forward for officer training, at exactly that moment. So if I hadn't marched the squad across the flower bed, then I would have been an officer and a different person altogether. I'd have been a great success. I'd have stayed in Cheshire. I'd have become an accountant, and life would have been very different. So that was a crucial moment in my life. This is a rum business and no mistake. When I was doing my national service here, there was like a whole village here, several villages, in fact, an entire community. And it was a community that I enjoyed very much and liked being part of. The people who I was here with all came from different backgrounds, different parts of the country. I met Geordies for the first time. Couldn't understand a word they were saying, still can't, as a matter of fact. But they accepted me for what I was, and we were brought closer together by football, of course, common interest in football, but also in music, because I had a lot of records which I used to play to them. And on one celebrated occasion, we formed a convoy and drove up to the Liverpool Empire to see Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran, which was an utterly wonderful night. There were some good lads here, no question. Until I came back here to Anglesey, I'd been thinking to myself that when I grew very old, I might even retire here because there were so many memories and associations with the places that we've been to. After the past couple of days, I think I'll probably not do that because I've realised that you can get so bogged down with your memories and spend so much time interpreting them that it doesn't leave you enough time to go on living the rest of your life. I've come away from here not feeling sorry for myself, which I think I might have been when we started, but feeling really more sorry for my mother and father because circumstances were such that they never really had the benefit of having happy children who enjoyed their company. But I don't think I should be coming back to Anglesey again in a great hurry to work my way through these memories again. Last night that I'd spent the beginning of last week up in Anglesey. Really just going back to the place where I'd done my national service, you know, as a soldier of the Queen so that you could sleep easier in your beds. And while I was there, I bumped into a lad who asked me to play something for everybody in 144 SU at De Croix camp. He wanted to hear the Wild Swans. Well, why not? This is revolutionary spirit, of course.